We are very pleased to have Vinay Aggarwal with us. He will be speaking about the Ramayana, and he will be speaking on this special occasion of this very special day. And I recently read in a supermarket brochure that today is the World Banana Day. That is a day that has obviously been invented to sell more bananas, but today is also a much more important day. It is Ram Navami, the appearance day of Ramachandra, and Vinay will talk about the the lessons that we can learn from the Ramayana and from Ram-lila for our everyday lives. And as always, this lecture or this presentation will be recorded and will be put on YouTube later on. You can ask questions in the chat box, or you can also ask questions at the end by unmuting yourself. Okay, I'll hand over to you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. So yeah, I'm Vinay Aggarwal. I'm living in Berlin, and I have the honor today to speak about my Ishtadev, Lord Ramachandra, on the occasion of Rama Navami. I'll just begin with a small chant. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanti Mirandasya Yajnanandana Salakya Chaksus Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadigor Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. Yeah, so it's an honor actually to speak on such a special day, Ram Navami. I worship Lord Ram; he's my Isht, and it's a feeling of great honor, great gratitude that I can speak. I was asked to speak in English. Is that still okay with everybody? English is fine, okay, and hope my sound and the video is okay, right? So perfect, fine. If there's something, then maybe Karuna where you can just help moderate. So yeah, so for 1 hour we have, I would probably speak for maybe 40 minutes or so, and keep some time in the end for some discussions. I'm not a professional lecturer. I just do it out of love for the temple, for the Lord. And I'll just do my small service. And please forgive me if I am not able to do it very nicely or make any offense. It's not intended, but I'll just begin. So Ram Navami, right? So we all are mostly members of ISKCON congregation. So we worship Lord Krishna every day. So it may not be completely obvious what the festival is about, what are the different implications, how does it fit into the context. So I would just want to speak about that a little bit. And I'll begin with the Srimad Bhagavatam, our prime scripture, Canto 9, Chapter 10. Canto 9 has, I think, 2 chapters about Lord Ramachandra, and in chapter 10, there are 2 verses which I want to quote. So Canto 9, Chapter 10, verses 2 and 3. I'll just read the translation in English. Translation for verse number 2. Being prayed for by the demigods, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth himself, directly appeared with his expansion and expansions of the expansion. The holy names were Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. The celebrated incarnations thus appeared in 4 forms as the sons of Maharaj Dashrath. Now here, the important point is the first sentence: the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth himself, directly appeared. And I think that's where I would want to start, that we are speaking about Lord Krishna today, who himself directly appeared, Sakshat in Sanskrit, as Lord Ram. Right? And this is written in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are basically talking today or discussing the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, our primal deity, Supreme Personality of Godhead, in his form as Lord Ramachandra. Second verse goes even further. O King Parikshit, the transcendental activities of Lord Ramachandra have been described by great saintly persons who have seen the truth. Because you have heard them again and again. You have heard again and again about Lord Ramachandra, the husband of Mother Sita. I shall describe these activities only in brief. And this is, I think, very interesting because the way I interpret it is that, I mean, we all know the setting of the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It goes for a few days, and Parikshit Maharaj is being given a very nice discourse about dharma and all the incarnations of Lord Krishna and the primacity of Lord Krishna by Shukdev Goswami. He talks into detail about all the different incarnations of Lord Krishna, but for Lord Ramchandra, he has only very less time to spare, right? And the reason he gives is that you have heard about Lord Ramchandra again and again. And this is the point. I mean, even if you go today in India, especially if there are people here in the call from North India, they would know that Ram Katha or Ramayana is just part of your daily life, right? So it's like you heard again and again. You see it on TV, you discuss it with your parents, you read the Ramayana, you celebrate festivals. It's just part of your daily culture. So it was so well known that Sukdev Goswami thought I had better focus on the other topics. So that's how well known it is, and that's why I think it's prudent to spare a few minutes today to talk about that. And this is so basically the context I wanted to set. Now, the basic what I want to talk about is like a few events from the Valmiki Ramayana, right? So Valmiki Ramayana is the prime scripture on which the activities of Lord Ram are described. And just to set that into context, Valmiki Ramayana is the Adi Kavya, means the first literary creation of mankind. The first creation put by humankind in a poem or story form is the Valmiki Ramayana. There is no other recorded scripture in human history that dates before that. It's the first literary, creation, and that's the importance of this. I mean, I'm just saying this that we get the respect, that it's something very auspicious, something very special that we are doing today, to take time and to listen about Lord Ram from the Valmiki Ramayana. So it's Adi Kavya. And it has 24,000 verses in Sanskrit. I just had the pleasure just last month to complete the first part of Valmiki Ramayana. There are two parts, right? So 12,000 verses each. But I just read 12,000 verses. I'm very proud, very honored. And so Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, has 18,000 verses, and Valmiki Ramayana has 24,000 verses. And you'll be also pleased to know that Mahabharata has 100,000 verses. Right, and so the longest literary creation of mankind is also Mahabharata, right? So that, which means that the first literary creation and the longest literary creation both belong to the Vedic culture, and that's something we can be very proud of, actually, right? So I mean, we many of us maybe realize it. If not, then I'm just putting out a record. This is how ancient, how special our culture is. So this is one thing. Another thing is so I have three features I want to discuss about the Vedic scriptures. One is, I just said Adi Kavya, the longest creation, and the first creation belong to Vedic culture. Second is all the scriptures are interrelated. So in Ramayana, you find descriptions about Srimad Bhagavatam, about Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, you find the Ramayana in a very short form. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 9, we have two chapters on the principal events of Ramayana. So this interlinking has many benefits. Number one, a devotee today in our lives, we do not have time to read all different scriptures, right? So even if we read one scripture, we get the essence of most of the scriptures, number one. Number two, our religion also went through a very tough time, right? So it's subject, like some people have tried to kind of, insert verses or things like that, or manipulate things. This cross-referencing of the scriptures enables sanctity. That means it's not possible to tamper with the scriptures, because you can tamper maybe with one version of scripture, but then the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, they also refer to the principal events. So you cannot, manipulate with everything. So that kind of this cross-referencing, cross-interlinking between the scriptures kind of adds to the sanctity of the scriptures. And the third point I want to make is I am not sure if another culture goes into such detail in describing the personality of Godhead himself or herself. I mean, his shape, his form, his bodily features, his friends, his family, his lineage, his characteristics, his habits, his likes, dislikes, these things I think are not given in such detail in any other culture. So that also makes something special. So these are three qualities I feel we should be very aware of, and of course very proud of. And for Lord Ram, I just want to quote a verse which is my favorite, because that describes my Ishtadev in a very appropriate form. It's said by Mother Sita, and it goes like, Shyam Damaras Tam Shariram, Shyam Thamras Dam Shariram, Jata Mukut Paridhan Munitiram, Pani Chap Sharkuti Tuniram, Nomi Nirantar Shriragutiram. And if you allow me, I'll just show you. I'm sitting in my temple, and if you see on my avatar, you see Lord Ram sitting very smartly, and this form of him, taking a bow and arrow in his hand, bare-chested in the forest, searching for Mother Sita, and looking very beautiful with a set of bows in his quiver, one arrow drawn out, and looking very attentively, where's my wife Sita. That form is my most favorite form. That's my Isht, and that's written in this verse very well. Shyam Tamras Dam Shriram, Jata Mukut Paridhan Munichiram, Pani Chap Sharkuti Tuniram, Nominanta Shriram. So what I'm saying is, it enables us to visualize our Lord in a very, very personal way. It's not something abstract. It's not some divinity or something. Of course it is, but there's a very clear form, very clear characteristics associated with him. That's something we see very much also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So these are the three features I feel are what makes our culture, our scriptures very, very special. So with that, I would like to just maybe start with one or two pastimes. I was thinking that if I try to summarize the whole Ramayana in 45 minutes, that's not going to help anybody. I think maybe we can do a different occasion for that. What I wanted to do, and if you allow me to do that, is to take one or two pastimes from Ramayana, and through that show how we can learn something from that. If that's okay, then I would want to proceed with that. Since nobody raises hand, I would say that's fine with everybody, right? So it's YouTube time, what to do. When we're in temple, we would have had a Hari Bol, but so be it. So the plot is the following. Yeah. So I'm just going to take this one example, and through that, just kind of draw a few lessons. Lord Ram and Lakshman have reached Lanka with the army of the monkeys, with Hanuman and all the monkey army, and they're fighting with Ravan's army, right? Because Mother Sita has been captured by Ravan in Lanka, and all efforts to find peace have failed, and now we are in the decisive war. So we are in the last stages of the war, and it so happens that Ravan is feeling he's losing the war. So he sends his elder son Meghnad to the battlefield, and in the battle, Meghnad uses a very kind of, I would say, roughly a nuclear weapon, right? It's called the Nagpash, so the snake weapon. I would equate it to a nuclear weapon from today, one of the best maybe. And he throws that weapon on Lord Ram and Lakshman. And the Nagpash has the characteristic that it kind of binds the person on whom you throw this. The snakes bind that person and suck the life out of that person slowly. So it so happens, I mean, I'll not go into details about that person because our lesson is focused somewhere else. The thing is, the story is like Lord Ram and Lakshman have been kind of encircled by the snakes or this Nagpash weapon, and life air is being sucked out of them. And Hanumanji, there are different events to it, but Hanumanji basically goes to Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, brings him down to earth, because Garuda can bite off those snakes and thereby give life back to Ram and Lakshman. So he does that, he comes and he does that. And Lord Ram, Lila Purushottam, I mean, what to do? I mean, when they act, Lord Krishna or Lord Ram in their forms, when they act, then everybody gets mesmerized. So when Garuda has bitten away the snakes, Lord Ram gets up and he thanks Garuda, and he says, "Oh, you've done us a great favor. Thank you. What would he have done without you? And we would have lost the war, and we owe our lives to you, and so on and so forth." And Garuda hears it and he goes back. But while going back, he thinks, "My God, was that Lord Ram? Was that the Supreme Personality of Godhead?" That the saints were saying that Krishna has appeared himself on earth as Lord Ram. Is he that? If he were that Lord, then why did he need my help? He could have just gotten away from the effect of their weapon himself. He's the one who kind of saves me. Why would I need to go and help him? Is that true? And that doubt arises in his mind. And we all know from our own lives, once doubt arises in our mind, it spreads. It spreads almost like a coronavirus, right? So like we are not able to get away from that doubt, and just gets deeper and deeper. And this is the point that I want to just discuss for the next 30 minutes or so, that how does Garuda deal with that doubt? Why? Because right now we are also living in a very tough time, right? We all are separated from each other. We are not having so much association. We are not able to go to the temple. We are not able to worship the deities themselves. And being alone in our own household lives, we are overtaken by material elements, right? Like jobs and this and insecurity and vaccines and should I take it or not? And will I get my salary next month? And will I send my kids to school? And will my medical bill be paid? And sometimes doubts arise about the culture, about our bhakti, about our sadhana, about our dharma. And I think that's why it's important to, at least I felt I took a lot of lessons from this incident. So I just want to share that with you. So now let's see what Garuda does, right? So, and because he does something very positive, and that's what I like. So we do not learn from his mistakes, but rather we learn from his actions. So it's true that doubt arises, but then he thinks, what do? I go to a real sadhu. I do not talk about it with my wife or my children or my friends or about something else. I just go to sadhu. I go to a saint. I go to a sannyasi and discuss this with him. So he thinks of Narad Muni. So he goes to Narad and says, Narad Muni, I have a problem, and this is what has happened, and I have this doubt in my mind, and I'm just being very honest with you. Please help me. And this is already the first lesson. Where do you go? You go to a sannyasi. You go to a guru. With a humble heart. You go transparently, open your heart, and say, hey, this is my problem. Help me. And Naradji, like when he hears, he just smiles and he knows the Maya is very powerful. We have had another incident when Narad Muni himself was kind of enamored by Maya. So he says, this is a serious problem. Garud, this is a serious problem. You getting a doubt, you're so exalted, it's this problem. So you need to go to Brahmaji. I cannot help you. You have to go to Brahmaji. No problem. Okay. So what does Garuda do? He immediately goes to Brahmaji. Garuda, he can fly everywhere. He can just cross the universes in a few seconds. So he goes to Brahmaji. He does not protest. And then tells Brahmaji his problem, right? So when Brahmaji hears everything, Brahmaji understands this is Lord Ram at his Leela, at his best. So he pays obeisances to Lord Ram, Lord Krishna in his mind, and starts chanting the holy name of Lord Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He falls into an ecstasy, kind of, he's like he enters into the Leela, he just imagines the pastime, Lord Ram acting towards Garuda, he's enamored by these snakes, and he's, like Garuda comes and helps him, and then Ramji is thanking Garuda earnestly, and he just imagines this pastime and just goes into ecstasy. And then when he comes out of that, he says, Garud, what to do, And Ramaji himself is thinking in his mind, I also did, or will do with Lord Krishna. He has this pastime, right? He also, Brahmaji also comes into doubt when he sees Lord Krishna playing as a boy in Vrindavan, and he kind of steals the Gopa friends and then puts them in this cave for 1 year and this and that. We have this whole episode. So so he's also has had this effect. So he says, Garuda, you have to, you have to go somewhere else to get help. And I suggest you go to Lord Shiva. So this is something interesting. Like first Garuda went to Narad. Narad sent him to Brahmaji. Brahmaji sends him to Shiva. They kind of forwarding him. Like passing the baton. And this is something that I would say also is seen very often in the Vedic scriptures. So some of us might have seen when like Brihad Bhagavadamrita, right? It's also a very celebrated scripture in our tradition. There also we see this, right? That the devotees are sent from one place to another, to another, to another. And every forwarding brings them to one level higher, one level higher, one level higher. So this is something that just is an aspect of our tradition, that you are forwarded to different places. It has multiple things. Number one is it elevates your consciousness with every step. Number two, it also tests your seriousness. Are you really serious about removing your doubt or not? Because if you're not serious, you will give up at some point. But if you do not get irritated by this forwarding, you just accept it as as a humble lesson and you just follow the instructions, then it shows your seriousness, and your doubts actually through the process themselves get removed, right? So this is something that we'll also see. So basically that's how it is, right? So Brahmaji tells Garud that you have to go to Lord Shiva. So Garuda doesn't get irritated, he doesn't take offense, he says no problem, thank you, and he just pays his obeisances and immediately goes to Shiva. The word comes immediately. He doesn't wait for a moment, he doesn't think, hey, should I do this or not? He just has faith in the words of Brahmaji and he just goes. So faith in the words of your guru, so to say, or of your guide is another thing that we learn here. So now he goes to Shiva, and I think we are about to reach the climax, so to say. So he goes to Lord Shiva, and great people have great habits and great ways of helping. So Shivaji listens to him, okay, and I mean, we are talking about exalted personalities. We're talking about Bhagwan, about the Lord. So it's very, very. We have to be careful not to make an offense. So Shivaji says, I am on my way somewhere. I have to go somewhere. You met me on the way. So on the way I cannot relate to you in detail. The lesson that you need. This is going to be a challenge. So I have a solution for you. You need to go somewhere, and this is very important. You need to go somewhere where there is Hari Katha going on intermittently. It's continuously. Means I'm going to send you somewhere where the Hari Nam, Hari Katha, is just going on continuously, right? And there you're going to kind of find the answer that you're searching for. Right? So in the beginning, in the middle, in the end, where the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are being sung, are being recited, such a place I'm going to send you, and there you're going to kind of find your solution. And so let me maybe just say the scenes, and then I'm going to say how it also I find this relates to us. So he says you have to go to the Kag Bhushundi. So the name is Bhushundi, and Kag means crow, right? A crow. Crow in Sanskrit is called Kag. Now the context is important. Garud is the king of birds, right? So and he, like he's the honor to seat Vishnu on his back, and he's being told by Lord Shiva to go to a crow, a black crow. Crow is among the castes of birds considered a Shudra, the almost untouchable. They eat meat, right? So in Vedic culture, if you're eating meat, then you're normally considered not so cultured, right? So without taking any further the conversation, we are not here to discuss those things. So crows eat, are considered low caste in birds. Now, Garud did not think that I am the king of birds, and Shivji is telling me to go to a crow. I mean, I went to Naradji sent me to Brahma, Brahmaji sent me to Shivji, the greatest of all Vaishnavas, the highest of all, Mahadev. So, and he's telling me to now, I was going up, and suddenly they're going me to go down, like to crow. No, he didn't think so. No, it comes from Lord Shiva. He means good for me. He knows me. He wants to help me. I'll do it. And he goes, of course, Lord Shivji tells him where he will find Kagpushundi, somewhere in the Himalayas in a cave. And there the Hari, and then he says, how will I recognize him? You'll say, Lord Shiva says, you'll recognize him because once you go near the cave, you'll hear the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. You'll see the Hari Katha being recited. And that's how you'll recognize him. There'll be an assembly, and the crow who will be sitting on the pedestal and reciting the Ram Katha, chanting the names of the Lord, he is Kagpushundi. That's the identification. And so maybe let's make it just a stop here. So what I'm trying to say here is that this is what an ISKCON temple is basically, right? Where Hari Katha is going on continuously, where devotees live to serve the Lord, right? They're chanting the names of the Lord, 16 rounds minimum, maybe more. But the temple is the place, a refuge, a cave in some sense, where Hari Katha is going on. So, I mean, whether you worship the Lord, whether you chant his glories, whether you chant his japa, whether you cook for him, whether you bathe him, whether you do abhishek, it's all part of the same package, right? So it's basically just a misnomer in some sense that, Harikatha, but principally you associate with the Lord. Lord is in the center of everything. And that's what an ISKCON temple is, right? And this is the significance of the temple as well, that the moment, I mean, okay, like this is basically where you can get your doubts removed in some sense. So like the story goes like this. Garudji goes to Kagpushundi, and before that, one other thing happens where when Garudji takes leave of Shivji to go to Kagpushundi, Mother Parvati asks Shivji that, Shivji, if you allow me, I'll ask a question. But you are able to remove the doubt of Garuda. You know the answer. You can bless him to remove the doubt. Why did you not do that? I mean, Garuda is not some ordinary devotee. He's exalted. So why didn't you help him? And Lord Shivji answers in a very nice fashion that this is about abhiman, about ego. Lord can tolerate everything in his devotees, but not abhiman, not ego. Like the moment we as devotees get ego, I did this, I am such a good lecturer, I'm such a good cook, I can do this much, or I chant, I read so many books, I read all the scriptures, or I have such a good knowledge of the scriptures, or whatever in some form. Then Lord Krishna makes sure that he removes this abhiman, this ego from you. There are many, many examples, right? Indra had the same problem, right? I mean, we had this thing in the Srimad Bhagavatam, he got abhiman, and then, then Lord Krishna made sure that he crushed that ego of Lord Indra, right? We have the Govardhan Lila, right? So, I mean, Lord Indra sent these, we know the story, right? I mean, he sent these clouds to inundate Vrindavan, and then Lord Krishna, he lifts the Govardhan with his finger, and then, then the whole story happens. But in principle, when Lord Indra comes to beg mercy from Krishna, he forgives him, and basically he also says something similar, that I cannot tolerate abhiman in my devotees, right? So whenever we have abhiman in my devotees, I make sure to crush that. So in this sense, this is more sweet, right? Lord Shiva knows that, Garuda is not having, he's like not fallen or something, just had a doubt, so he wants to remove it. And he also says that I also want to make sure that, the point is, Garuda, he was able to come to me, and he's exalted. He's able to come to Brahmaji, to Shivji. People like us, you, me, we are in the lecture. We don't have the credentials, the calling card to call Shivji. We cannot just go and tell Shivji, hey, Shivji, we have a doubt. Can you help us? Won't work. Right? I mean, we are not that exalted yet. We're not having those supernatural powers that we can go to Brahmaji or something. So that's why Shivji will enable the solution in such an easy way that we can also kind of do that. And that's something we'll see. So what happens, Garudji comes to this cave of Kagpushundi, and he comes, and in the cave, the chanting of the holy names is going on. Kagpushundi is sitting on a small seat and reciting the pastimes of the Lord, and all the different kinds of birds are listening. I mean, one might think, what he's talking about? Birds, crow chanting the name of the Lord, birds listening. Are we serious? Yes, we are serious. We are serious. This is the Vedic culture. I mean, we maybe right now in our life in 2021, living in Germany, cannot imagine that. But the culture, the power, the holy name of the Lord is very vast, and there are different universes, there are different ways, this and that. I mean, if you go deeper into scriptures, you will see all those evidences. Everything is true, it's possible, it's fact, it has happened, it has all happened. It's not like, not some fairy tale, some author thought of some nice something. So it's all there. So the point is, he goes to the cave, he's hearing this pastimes. And the moment he enters into the cave, his doubts get vanished. That's it. I mean, he doesn't even have to ask Kagpushundi about his problems, about his conversation. He enters into this place where the Harikatha is going on in this cave, and he feels, oh, my doubt has vanished. I got it. I got the connection. I got it back. I mean, I had the connection. I lost it. I got it back. And that's the point. That's the point. And that's why I find this so inspiring that, you and me, we cannot go to Shivji to clear our doubts. But we can go to the temple to clear our doubts. The temple is within our reach. the temple is the place. The temple for me is the place where Harikatha is going on, where the Lord is worshipped, where He's right and center, where his japa is going on, where his scriptures are being read, where he's being worshipped, where his arti is being performed, where he's given offered food, and then devotees take a prasadam, where no offense is made at his lotus feet. Where these things are going on, that's a temple, right? I mean, normally in our sense, it's normally the ISKCON temple nearby, right? And we can go to a temple, and if we are serious seekers, if we have gone through this exam like Narad, like Garud did, right? He went to sadhu, he went to guru to seek advice, like to Garud, Narad Muni sent him to Brahmaji sent him to Shivji sent him to the Khagpusundi, and at no process, at no point in the chain do we see that that Garudji got irritated, or he got offended, or he took he said, I don't want to do this, something. He just accepted it with humility and followed the instructions of the guru, the guru at that moment, and eventually he came to this. Actually, he went below his dignity, right? He went to a Shudra, but when he entered the cave, his doubts were removed. And I think so there are many different lessons that we can grow from this. And just to come back to story once again, I'm sorry, I'm switching a bit, but without seeing anybody on the screen, it's difficult to imagine, that people are listening to me. So it's I didn't know that giving lecture to a computer screen is so difficult. It's really a challenge, but forgive me for that. So he Khagpusundi sees that Garudji has come. He finishes his Ram Katha. Then he welcomes Garudji. He offers him a seat. Small things, but they also say something on culture, right? What does he say? He gets up from his seat, makes pranam to Garudji. This is Khagpusundi, right? The crow. He sees Garudji coming. He gets up from his seat, offers him pranam, washes his feet, offers him a chair. Gives him water, offers flowers, fruits, makes him comfortable, and then says, Garudji, what an honor that you've come to my home. How can I serve you? Small things, but they go such a long way. A devotee comes to us, we welcome him, he takes off his shoes, we give him something to wash his hands and face and shoes, seat him comfortably on a sofa, give him warm water, maybe a tea, maybe just offer him some incense and some flowers, give him some prasadam to eat, and sit beside him and very respectfully ask, how nice that you're come to my home. How can I serve you? Just imagine, if we are going somewhere, unannounced, and if you are received like this, how soothing this is, how respectful this is, how much respect we gain for the culture to that. So small things, and if you read it again and again, I'm sure there are many more things that will come out. But to summarize, and then Guruji says, I came here with some doubts, but now I don't need those to discuss those doubts, because when I entered your ashram and I was seeing you chanting the glories, my doubts got removed. So thank you. So I got my answer. All I now want is please, Gushundiji, recite the Ramayana to me again. So please recite the Ramayana to me again. So he wants to just hear about the names he wants to hear the Ram Katha again. And then just to please Garudji, Khagpusundi recites the Ramayana once again in 100 verses, and maybe 110, I don't know exactly, but it's called a Laghu Ramayana. Laghu means small, like Laghu Bhagavatamrit, right? So like that, Laghu Ramayana. Ramayana in a short form, I think in some 100 verses or so, Bhushundiji summarizes the whole Ramayana. And then the Valmiki Ramayana kind of goes further. But what I'm trying to say here is, let's try to just maybe 3-4 minutes more just to reflect on the lesson, right? So how we receive devotees. We get, when we have doubt, what do we do, right? We go to Guru, and then we follow his instructions with faith. We don't get irritated. We don't get offense. Just do what he or she tells us, right? You just go through the whole process of purification, and then you go through this. We also learn, we should not have ego, right? Any kind of abhiman in us, because the Lord can tolerate many other things, but not abhiman, right? So we should never have abhiman in us. Oh, I'm such a great this or that or whatever, something like that. A few other lessons. And one thing another, which I feel, even the doubt in a Vedic culture, in our dharma, is something nice. Because just imagine, because Garudji had a doubt, we got such a nice story, right? we would not get such a story if Garuji did not have the doubt. Or if Indra did not have that, Abhiman or something, we would not have had the Govardhan Leela. Just imagine what would be Krishna consciousness without Govardhan Leela. Right? What if you were not allowed to worship, or what if we did not even know that there's some Govardhan hill and that we can worship him? What would happen? How much of a gap it would leave in our life, right? So even the doubts give us gifts. Right? In this case, with Garuji, it gave us the Laghu Ramayana, Ramayana in 100 verses. So it was like somebody, for example, in India, he's at his deathbed, or he's sick, or he's not able to read the whole Ramayana, right? Then you just read the Laghu Ramayana before it. The 100 verses takes hardly 15 minutes, and he gets the benefit of listening to the whole Ramayana. Right? Indra, through that incident, we got the Govardhan Puja, right? I mean, such a big festival in our tradition, right? And many other things. So these are a few things that I thought I found inspiring. So I thought, instead of going to the whole Ramayana, just the facts, maybe we can go a bit deeper. It's I don't know if we want to, maybe I can share one or two thoughts more, and then we can open the floor for some questions. I was thinking personally about this a bit, like, why did Lord Ram did this pastime? Coming back to Rama Navami, right? It's the birthday of Lord Ram, and he's the time dated today. He's the hero of the day today. And we see it also with Lord Krishna. They do sometimes some actions which lead to doubts, right? Lord Krishna also did a few things, like, for example, when he killed Karna, right? He advised Arjun to kill Karna in a specific way. He was not very Kshatriya-like, right? So we also had some other things where we felt, oh, why did Lord Krishna do this? Same with Lord Ram also, like he killed Bali, the brother of Sugriv, by hiding behind a tree. And when Bali was fighting with Sugriv, Lord Ram fired at him from behind. So that was something that many people criticize, even still criticize, and say, hey, why did you do this? Or with this one, Meghnad could injure Lord Ram, right? Or when Lord Mother Sita was kidnapped by Ravan, the way Lord Ram is in sorrow, in separation of Mother Sita, that's very, very painful, very, very moving. Almost as if a Bollywood hero is lamenting for his heroine, kind of, hey, is that Lord? And there's also a description where Mother Sati, wife of Lord Shiva, when she sees Lord Ram actually lamenting for Sita ji in this way, she gets doubt: is he Lord Ram? Is he really Supreme Personality of Godhead? So the question comes: why is the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doing such pastimes? I mean, you can probably discuss 5-6 days on this topic, and I'm definitely not in a position to do that. But I had one or two realizations of my own, which I want to just share. Number one, the Lord loves fun, right? So we are a fun-loving culture. We like to dance, we like to have music, we like to eat good prasadam, we like to wear nice clothes. We have the most beautiful men and women in the society, right? I would say, I'm very proud of saying that. So we love color, we love fun, right? So Lila Purushottam, Lord likes to do Lila, number one. That means he likes to make some jokes, some jest, right? It's kind of has parihas in Hindi. Number two, doubts, in my opinion, lead to debate, and debate makes bhakti juicy, right? So it kind of, when you kind of churn the milk, yogurt comes, and from that eventually butter and cheese come, right? So the best part of milk comes by churning the milk. So for me, this is like debating the activities of the Lord. Just imagine if the Lord were not to do any Leela, if he were not to have these ups and downs in the Leela, it would not be so juicy, it would not be so gossipy, then it would not be so fun, right? And we love fun. We like to see movies because they're ups and downs, right? We like to see serials in TV because they're ups and downs, right? If it's just a flat kind of thing, it's boring. And Lord is not boring at all, right? He's not at all boring. So this is another aspect of that he likes to have fun, he likes to have this juicy gossip. And third, and I think also this is very important, and it's really my last point, then I'll stop. We are in Kali Yuga, right? And the Lord, there are only 25% people who are inclined to God, right? This is written in our scriptures. Satya Yuga, 100% people are inclined to the Lord. Treta Yuga, 75%. Dwapar Yuga, 50%. And Kali Yuga, only 25% of the people are inclined to God. And we see this also, even in Germany. I mean, of course, Vedic religion is not the prevalent religion here. We are an absolute minority. But even like the kind of religious or morally upright people will not be more than 25%, right? In India, it may not be also very different, right? So the Lord has to give an excuse to the people to turn away from him. If these leelas were not there, the atheists will not have any reason to turn away from him. You know? But I would turn it the other way around. I would probably make the positive side of it. This is Kali Yuga, right? The aeroplane to go to Goloka Vrindavan is at the airport. It has 600 seats. And we devotees maybe are 400 or maybe even 300, right? Not even there. This is our golden chance to get a seat on that plane to Goloka Vrindavan. All we have to do is to follow the instructions of the Guru, right? Of Srila Prabhupada. We have to chant our rounds, we have to read the scriptures, we have to follow our principles, we have to worship the Lord, we have to offer him, nice prasadam, we have to cook, whatever we cook, we have to offer to the Lord. We have to kind of, decorate him with flowers, offer him flowers and water and this and that. We read his scriptures, we chant his japa, we listen to this katha and have fun. That's it. That's it. We just have fun, right? I mean, we can have fun with bhakti. And our ticket to the plane is more or less settled because there are so few people, right? So, but anyways, I mean, this can go on for a long, long time. What I would like to say is, these are a few points that I brought along. I know I didn't make a traditional Rama Navami lecture. A traditional Rama Navami lecture would involve some verses and why was Lord Ram born and this and that and story of the Ramayana. But I think, I don't know, most of the people in the congregation, I have spoken sometime in the past as well about Rama Navami. So I thought I'll just go maybe a different tack because right now we all are so away from each other and not seeing each other. I feel separated from my devotee friends. I would like to go to temple, every Saturday or Sunday and worship the Lord. I miss that. This is just my expression of that. So with that, I'll come to a stop, and maybe if there are any comments or any discussions or something, we can do that for 15 minutes or so.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for that nice lecture, for that nice presentation. I especially like the last points you made about the gossipy nature of people. We always love to talk about somebody else. We don't really like to talk about, some people like to talk about themselves as well, but they like to talk about other personalities. And if Krishna or Ramchandra or other personalities of Godhead have given us the opportunity to talk about them, that is a very nice thing, because then we can meditate on them and we don't have to talk about our neighbors or our whatever politicians or celebrities, so-called celebrities. So yeah, that was very nice. I like that very much. And if any one of you out there has a question or a comment or any kind of remark, you can just unmute yourselves. You could also write into the chat box, but I don't see any questions there yet. So the opportunity is there. You can unmute yourselves and say something. If you don't know how to unmute yourselves, there is a microphone icon at the bottom of your screen somewhere, and you just have to click it and unmute yourselves, and we will be able to hear you. So if that is, yeah, there is a question by Mangala. What is your favorite quality of Ram?
Oh, wow, Mangala, very, very deep question. The moment the question popped up, a thought came in mind, and I'll just share that. I'm not sure if that is the most, but I think it would be roughly. So what I like most about Lord Ram, of course, one, I like his appearance. Right? I mean, and as I said, right, I chanted this verse. I mean, Sham Thamras Dam Shariram Jada Mukut Parithan Munichiram Pani Chap Kutin Tuniram Nomi Niranta Shiraguiram. And Mangala, you've been to my house, you've seen the deities as well. I mean, exactly that shlok was formed in this deity, and I just invited the Lord to come to my home. And so I like this physical, muscular appearance of Lord Ram, right? I mean, I'm not that strong, but that's my aspiration, right? Strong, muscular, young dashing, beautiful man, bare chest. Man, I mean, the Rambo, he just rocks it out. So that's one aspect. But on a spiritual level, let's get more serious. What I like is his promise, is his vow to protect anyone and everyone, irrespective of background and class and quality, who takes his shelter. Right? I mean, this happens because Vibhishan comes to Lord Ram. He leaves his brother Ravan. He's a demon, and he comes to Lord Ram to seek shelter. And Lord Ram calls his ministers together to seek advice, and everybody says, he comes from the enemy camp. We cannot trust him. Maybe he just wants your secrets. And he said, Lord Ram hears everybody out, and then he listens. He tells Hanuman to give his final opinion, and he says, Lord Ram, I mean, you know the answer. Irrespective of what he is, he has come to take shelter of you. Full stop. No questions asked. That's it. He has come to take shelter of you. I know you will not send him back. There's not even a need to ask him. And this is the quality I like, that irrespective of your quality, whether I maybe, sometimes I fall from my vows, maybe I sometimes do not do it dutifully, maybe I commit some sins or something. It happens with all of us. No problem. No problem. If we decide to take shelter of Lord Ram, he is going to protect us. He has taken this vow in front of his ministers, in front of the whole world. The verses are there in the Ramayana. And he does it also. Sugriva is not the most pious of people as characters in the Ramayana, right? He's had his share of what we would call sin in our culture, right? Drinking, eating, having many wives and all that kind of thing, exactly what we take a vow against, right? So he's had those things. But when he takes shelter of Lord Ram protects him. He gives him material success. He makes him the king of the monkeys, and he gives him spiritual, benediction, moksha. And he does it with Vibhishan, and he does it with many others also. So this is the quality that I like most about him. I mean, giving shelter is one thing, but that even if you don't deserve the shelter, that you get that shelter just because you go to seek that shelter sincerely. I was bowled out by that. So that's my answer. Any other comment or question or something? Maybe I can share one small pastime, since we have a few minutes. So yeah, somebody has asked something. Please, Sumit, I guess, right? Yeah, please. We are not hearing you, Sumit, right? In case you're saying something. Can somebody else hear him?
I cannot hear him. It appears he is muted and is not has not switched on anything. So maybe if he has a question, he can type it.
Yeah, maybe he can type it as well. Otherwise, I'll just share.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am back. Sorry for the inconvenience. My Wi-Fi connection is not stable today.
Problem.
Hare Krishna Prabhu and happy Rama Navami. And please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, you have wonderfully described the pastimes of Garura and Kagbhushandi, but I wanted to know what thing Garuraji have observed when he entered the Kagbhushandi's temple, that his all the questions were kind of answered.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing you have mentioned about ego, and yeah, that's one thing. Yeah, I am dealing with lots of ego. And do you have any kind of practical suggestion for me how to deal with this kind of ego thing? Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. I don't know whether I'll be able to answer, but I'll do my best. Right. Let me start with the first part. Right. So you asked, what did Garudaji hear from Kagbhushundi that his doubts were removed? If I remember correctly, I did not find that information in the Ramayana when I read it. I may be wrong. I am not going to claim that that's how it is. I may be wrong. I'll definitely recheck, but I think it was not mentioned. I think the stress in the story, the way I understood it, was it did not even matter what he was talking about, the fact that Kakbhushan was relating the Ram Katha and that vibes of Hari Katha, right? You're in a cave with devotees and you're reading the pastimes of the Lord, and that atmosphere due to the Katha was so charged up that the fact that Garuji entered that thing, and his doubt was removed. It didn't even matter what exact verse or what exact portion of Ram Katha was being narrated by Kakbhushan. That is how I understood it. I'll leave a little door open that maybe I got it wrong. Maybe there's a specific verse written there. I'm happy to check that, but this is my understanding that how it was. That actually inspired me even more. Why? Because suppose we get together now and discuss something. And suppose you ask me to hey, you do the Ram Katha, right? You did that today anyway, right? And I'm not qualified. I'm not a Sanskrit scholar or something, and I wouldn't even know what to say. But the fact that I sit here, and in my temple and try to speak, right? And the focus is on try. That I make hey, I have an opportunity to serve the Lord, and I'm just going to do that. And then what comes out doesn't matter, because then Lord takes it over, right? I mean, the atmosphere matters, right? We all have come together on the day of Rama Navami in the evening about Lord Ram, about Lord Krishna, that we're discussing him. And that's it. And what we discuss doesn't even matter to some extent. So this is one way of answering it. I'm sure somebody else would answer it a bit different. I encourage you to ask one of the sannyasis maybe that question. So that's one thing. Second part, dealing with abhiman or ego, you're not alone, right? Everybody deals with that. Some people accept, some people don't. I think everybody deals with that. And I mean, just imagine Mother Sati, wife of Lord Shiva, has deals with that. Brahmaji, you see in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? He doubts Lord Krishna when he's playing with his cowherd boys. Is he Lord Krishna himself? And he's the Lord himself, and he does this pastime. Indra does it. So we all do it. What are we? So I would not even take that so seriously. I would take it a bit lightly. Hey, everybody has that problem. So what, man? So what? Point is, we have to just do what we are being told, right? We have to go to temple. We have to serve the Lord. We have to read about him. We have to chant his name. We have to serve him prasadam and take his prasadam take the remnants as prasadam. Simple things. And I mean, my own experience was that helped me. To give a subtle example, right? When I don't know, Mangala Devi asked me, hey, Vinay, would you like to give a lecture? At first I thought, I'll give a lecture, man. I mean, I'm going to give like an ISKCON, right? And then at some point I thought, who will come? I mean, who will come? I mean, it's a weekday, it's evening, it's Zoom. I personally don't like to listen to lectures on Zoom. Who will come? And then the thing comes, hey, that's what the lecture is about. Does not matter who comes. The matter is you have an opportunity to serve the Lord. Even if nobody comes, you should prepare very, very well, and you should go as if Lord Ram is listening. That's the point. It does not matter who comes or how many people come. So that was my way of dealing with that. And I felt very relieved when I thought of that, wow, that's service. That's service. You are away from this thing. Will I give a nice lecture or not? What should I wear? Where should I sit? What should I prepare? Doesn't matter. All matters is I have a desire to serve the Lord. I have a beautiful opportunity, and I want to do it. And doesn't matter who comes and who doesn't come. That was, I don't know if it's probably an indirect answer, but this is a small thing that I can offer. But yeah, if it's not answered, then I encourage you maybe ask one of the gurus, so we can have a phone call or something. But this is what I can. So we're almost at 8. I don't know. The moderator has decided if you have time for one more comment. Otherwise, as you like. So
yes, of course, we do have time for that. Usually, I mean, we had, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we stopped at, what was it, 8:30 or something, because there were so many questions coming in. So if there are more questions, you can ask them. Yeah, if there are no questions, that's also okay. I would like to add, you mentioned the preparation for the lecture and the idea how many people would come. I know a devotee who used to give lectures even if there was nobody present. So somebody, whatever living entity might be listening. So and also there is one story from the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada. He was I think his disciples were organizing a program with him, and there were not so many people coming. And he said, oh, it was very successful. All the relevant personalities were there. Narada Muni was there, Brahmaji was there, and all those demigods, they came and they listened. So they saw it. So that is the important thing. And by the way, it's I can see the list of participants. There are quite a few participants here. So it's
not the point. Get it wrong. I'm just saying. I mean, this was my own development. I'm just saying, not to see. But I mean, like Prabhu asked, right? That's what I want to say. I'm also not away from that. I also have my own challenges, but I've just decided to take it easy and just get along with it, right? And I mean, this is what I shared was just one way. It's subtle, but it's there, right? And so what? So what? I mean, Srila Prabhupada has given us the answers, right? I mean, we just have to follow, and we are not perfect. I don't even claim to be perfect. I may not be at the end of this life. So what? I'm on the right path. That's the point. The direction is right. The road is right. The bus is right, right? Or the car is right. That's it. That's the point. So I think that inspires me a lot, actually, as well, that we have so scope, for improvement, for correction, for this or that or something. I mean, we are allowed. I mean, I'm not saying make mistakes. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, this is not my intention. I'm just saying that for people like us, we are not like living in ISKCON Vrindavan or in Chopati with Radhanath Maharaj with all these 4,000 disciples and everything. We don't have that association. So what? So what? We'll get it in the next life. No problem. And we are on the right path. That's the point. And we are making our effort in our small little way. I mean, there was maybe just one little example. It now comes to my mind when they're making this bridge right from India to Lanka. Right. I mean, we all know the story, and now NASA has confirmed that there is actually a bridge that exists there, right, from Tamil Nadu to Lanka. Right. I wanted to bring a photo, but I didn't know how to show it today. So if you meet in temple, I'll show that. I did some research in that as well. I mean, we have had dating of the. I mean, there are two aspects. One is that the bridge has been now found. There are photos, and carbon dating shows that it roughly corresponds to the time when Ramayana claims Lord Ram came. Right, I think whatever the figure. And second is the events in Valmiki Ramayana. Right, they have this astrological constellations given. Right, with the principal events have the astrological constellations given. That also happens actually in the Krishna Katha, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Mahabharata. Also, the principal events are they're not giving a date 21st of April 2021, no, but the astrological constellation is given. And now there's software available that you can actually feed that constellation to find the dates. The dates actually correspond plus minus to the Hindu belief, right? When the events happen, like Lord Krishna came 5,000 years back, Lord Ram came much back, so those things happen. But there's an incident about making this bridge, right, between India and Lanka. Just short answer. The monkeys come, they take the big stones and they throw into the sea, right? And first they would go down into the seabed, so you can make a bridge. And then somebody says that there's write Ram on the stone, right? Ram. And then like on one stone write Ra, and on the other stone write Ma, and then they will, when you throw them, they will float, and then they'll come and stick together. Ra, Ma. No, they cannot stay together, cannot stay away from each other. Ra, Ma. So, and then the bridge will be made. And then the monkeys are coming, big boulders and throwing and everything. And then suddenly Hanumanji sees a small squirrel. Aishwarsan, squirrel. Squirrel is coming and taking a small little pebble, coming to the ocean. In the ocean, comes back, takes another small little piece, goes to the ocean, like this. And it's written in a joke. Hanumanji thinks, what is she doing? What is she doing? And Ramji immediately notices that. He calls Hanuman, come here. You're thinking, what is that little squirrel doing there? Huh? That you're lifting such big boulders, and what is that squirrel doing? The squirrel is doing just as important a service as you, Hanuman, are doing. You lifting those big boulders and the squirrel lifting a small little pebble, in my eyes, is equal. Because she is doing in her capacity what she can do to serve me. And that's the point. That's the point. It's not important that we move mountains. It's important that we put our best effort into what we're doing. If I'm giving a lecture today, if I've been asked to do service, I put my best effort to it. If I'm reading the scriptures, then I do my best effort into it to understand it, to analyze it, and to share that with my friends and family. If the pujari is doing his service to the deities, no matter how many devotees come to take darshan, he does his best to please the Lord. And so on and so forth. So I think this is where I found it very, very inspiring. And I mean, you read it, you take any one page out of Srimad Bhagavatam or of Ramayana or of Krishna book or of Brihad Bhagavatamrita or of Bhagavad Gita, and you read that book over and over and over again, or you read that one chapter over and over and over again, I promise you, every reading iteration will give you new lessons. Every time you read it once, you'll get one more realization and one more realization and one more realization. It's like, you keep churning the milk and the quality of the butter gets better and better and better. But anyway, so that's just a small off remark. So I'll stop here. So a final comment. Otherwise, I think we should, people have jobs.
I have a little thing to share. You spoke of the Ram Setu, the bridge between Lanka and India, and I'm showing the picture to you that I found on the internet. There is a little accumulation of sand or whatever, some geological formation that is between Sri Lanka here at the bottom in the south and the Tamil Nadu area, Rameshwaram, and there is this connection.
Yes, and this is the one that, according to Valmiki Ramayana, would be the Ram Setu, right? The bridge that the monkey army made for Lord Ram's army to cross from India to Sri Lanka. And I mean, this article, the other photo that Prabhu shared, right? That's if you can share the other photo. Yeah, this is an actual NASA photo. This was released by NASA, the American agency on space. This photo is from them, issued by them, and they also did carbon dating of that structure, and that roughly corresponds for this. To the date that the bridge should have been built according to the Valmiki Ramayana. So and that's, I mean, if you want to believe in the Lord, you have it, right? If you don't want to believe in the Lord, no matter what you do, you'll not. But if you want to believe in the Lord, if you want to have faith in the Lord, well, there it is, right? So, but anyway, I mean, our faith is not even dependent on this photo or not. Even when this photo was not there, we all believed in the authenticity of our scriptures. We believed in Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. So when this photo is nice, but it's not paramount, or it's not central to our belief, right? Our belief is not dependent on this or that photo. So this is also something that I think is important. But yeah, thanks a lot, Prabhu.
And I thank you for this wonderful lecture, and we thank all of you who have joined us, who have participated in this lecture. And next week we will have Bhagavad Gita class again, our continuous study of the Bhagavad Gita. It will be 4:36, if I'm not mistaken, and it is about the idea that even the most sinful people can cross over the ocean of miseries. So that will be next week's verse, and Tushta Krishna Prabhu will be giving the lecture next week. It will be the first time that we will be hearing from him. So that will be very nice. And we would all be enjoying if you come again, if you join us, if you invite your friends and family and spread the word. And thanks to all of you for being here, and see you next week, hopefully. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. Thank you. Thank you. Shri Ram Navami.